Coming up, we see how members of the public in the United States and Mozambique have been inspired to give despite their own poverty. We meet 30-year-old Lin Ziqi, who was given a chance to experience university life at Tzu Chi Unversity. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Anita Lee. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi volunteers in Mozambique have been encouraging locals in Maputo to donate to help the less fortunate, and they've recently returned to collect the public's donations. While in Wilmington, California, some Hispanic volunteers have been reaching out to the Latino population to introduce Tzu Chi.
In spring of 2015, Hispanic volunteers of the Tzu Chi Community Clinic in Wilmington have gone into their communities to introduce Tzu Chi.
People that live here who are low income and have a lot of needs but have no money to pay for that type of, they're not in the streets or hungry, not a lot of people here in Wilmington, but there is a need and it's fulfilling the need, and I'm trying to get the message out.
From supermarkets to restaurants, Tzu Chi volunteers work tirelessly to introduce Tzu Chi to everyone they met. With Spanish translation provided by Hispanic volunteers, more Wilmington residents are getting to know Tzu Chi.
I've participated in Tzu Chi's medical volunteer training. I think joining Tzu Chi is a good way to serve the community. Tzu Chi volunteers work very hard to help disaster victims or low-income families.
After listening to the volunteers, this nail salon employee donated money to Tzu Chi to help the needy.
Thank you so much.
I feel for those who suffer. We've visited a lot of places, and while some people reject us, I will still continue to visit them because we are helping the community.
With the efforts of Hispanic volunteers, more people in the ethnically diverse Wilmington will be learning more about Tzu Chi and are given the opportunity to contribute. Turning to Mozambique, one volunteer is inspiring people's love. The residents of Mohatas in Maputo City have been inspired to make donations, and the coin banks have gathered everyone's kind thoughts in addition to donations. Next comes the moment everyone has been looking forward to. It's as exciting as listening to the Academy Awards. Originally from Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteer Cai Dailin has been actively inspiring the locals to give to help the less fortunate. Despite the distances, the volunteers have successfully brought the Tzu Chi spirit from Taiwan to Mozambique.
On the final day of the 2015 Tzu Chi Overseas International Meeting in Hualien, Taiwan, volunteers from Southern Africa, Australia and New Zealand all took to the stage to share their experiences while carrying out Tzu Chi's missions in their respective countries.
Although without an ideal place to carry out Tzu Chi's recycling mission, over the years, Tzu Chi volunteers' determination to promote the practice of recycling in New Zealand has never faltered. Besides visiting senior residents in various communities on a daily basis, Tzu Chi volunteers also bring things aphorisms into prisons.
When I first visited a prison, I saw two books on top of a chair. One of the books was a Bible, and the other was a 近似 aphorisms volume.
一本是近似语。
In the aftermath of the Queensland floods in 2011, the Tzu Chi Foundation and the city of Ipswich has formed a strong bond. Inspired by Tzu Chi volunteers' selfless gestures following the disaster, the mayor of Ipswich made it a point to visit Master Zheng Yan in Taiwan to express his thanks.
市长保罗先生
After Mayor Pisasio returned to Australia, he created a new badge that represents the collaboration and friendship between Tzu Chi and the city of Ipswich. The mayor even announced that August 21st of every year is Tzu Chi Day.
Through a PowerPoint presentation, those attending the 2015 Tzu Chi Overseas International Meeting have learned of the good works their counterparts have done in Australia over the past decade.
Master Zheng Yan, you're remarkable. Here in Australia even, when there are floods, you're among the first to appear.
We will never forget the warm kindness and compassion and love you have generated in Australia.
In January of 2015, Mozambique was struck by severe floods. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers mobilized to carry out home visitations and to provide hot meals to flood survivors. Due to the unsanitary environment at the disaster zone, Tzu Chi volunteer Tsai died in contracted malaria. However, Tsai still insisted on checking on the flood victims.
I
never would have imagined that I would have contracted malaria. I had a fever as high as 41 degrees, yet I felt so cold. This experience gave me a better understanding of the pain and hardship many locals go through.
The blue and white clad angels first set foot in southern Africa in 1992 and expanded their footsteps in Botswana in 2014. This year, local volunteers extend their assistance to those living in Namibia.
Namibia is located about 1,800 kilometers away from Johannesburg and 2,400 kilometers away from Durban. When we visited the area, we saw people living in homes made out of wood planks and corrugated metal sheets. Many poor people in South Africa also live in homes made out of similar materials.
Despite also living in hardship, local volunteers in South Africa, including 77-year-old Tulakeli Mkenze, remain firm in their decisions to carry out Tzu Chi's missions locally.
It takes a lot of courage and determination to inspire local volunteers to walk steadfast on the Tzu Chi path. Master Zheng Yan hopes that we can spread Tzu Chi's philosophy across the border to other countries. Every month, we travel about 6,000 kilometers to introduce Tzu Chi to even more people.
我有一群菩萨在人间度化最苦难的众生，你的用心付出呢，看在眼里啊，感动在心里，所以时时都在赞叹啊，到徽州去了，如地藏菩萨一样，花大愿，立大喜哈，真的是看了都会非常的感动。
Regardless of the difficulty they encounter, Tzu Chi volunteers in southern African countries promise to spread Tzu Chi's missions far and wide and to inspire even more locals to join their ranks.
Currently, there are 6 countries in southern Africa where the Tzu Chi Foundation's missions have taken root and flourished. Africa is the birthplace of humanity. However, decades of Western colonization and segregation has triggered endless political conflicts and hindered economic development. How have Tzu Chi volunteers there, who are mostly Africans, managed to put aside their hatred and poverty to give of themselves unconditionally? We have more in our report. As economic inequality continues to persist even after apartheid, it has also contributed towards high crime rates and violence in the country. Deepening the racial divide is no longer a repressive system, but anger and hatred.
I come from Taiwan Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation.
In 1992, the Tzu Chi Foundation established its first liaison office in Africa. Volunteers in South Africa began their mission by helping the poor while also spreading their message of peace and harmony. The Tzu Chi volunteers' love has warmed the hearts of those in need and has taught them to put aside their hatred and embrace one another's differences.
I'm extremely thankful to see the volunteers giving of themselves so unconditionally in our community. Now the orphans here have food to eat, and all are well taken care of. I'm very happy.
We're very lucky. I am very happy to see such a positive turnout. It's great.
The Kingdom of Lesotho, a landlocked country completely surrounded by South Africa, does not enjoy an abundance of natural resources like its neighbor. Instead, what it has inherited is poverty.
Our volunteers also brought some winter supplies, as we want them to have a good winter.
With the support of local Taiwanese businessmen, Tzu Chi's volunteer network was set up in Lesotho 3 years after the founding of Tzu Chi in South Africa. The power of kinship forged in times of adversity is one of life's greatest treasures. In 2007, Tzu Chi Seeds of Compassion also landed in Mozambique and Zimbabwe, where they have now blossomed and flourished.
You respect. You need to respect anybody. You can do or not. You can do or not? We can do! Yes. You must believe you can do.
The compassion which has flourished in the 4 southern African countries has also spread to neighboring Swaziland and Botswana. With their smiles, these volunteers are able to endure countless taunts and ridicule. Through action, they ease the pain and suffering felt by all during times of disaster. They are satisfied and content, and always overcome with joy, as they work to leave behind an enduring legacy. People in Taiwan often have the misconception that Tzu Chi's recycling program is competing with recyclers who rely on selling recyclables to make ends meet. However, the truth is that Tzu Chi usually handles recyclables that even these recyclers don't want. In fact, they happily bring these less valuable recyclables to Tzu Chi, as we find out in our next report. At 7 p.m. sharp, Mr. Bai shows up at a Tzu Chi recycling point in Pingdong City with his recyclables.
These are what I've collected outside. I had them all sorted already. Some I give to Tzu Chi, while some I sell. Today, I have brought plastic containers that hold cookies for Tzu Chi.
Mr. Bai also has another bag of plastic goods which even contains damaged plastic toys. The enthusiastic man hands the sorted recyclables to volunteers and even invites the camera crew to check out the fruits of his labor.
Oh, these are not a week's worth of collecting, but only one day. Yes, I found all of these in just one day. You see, I don't hold a steady job, but have to make ends meet. So I thought I might as well look for something valuable that can help supplement my income.
In his younger days, Mr. Bai mainly made money from cleaning people's range hoods. However, as the work became unstable, he then joined his wife in looking for recyclables on the streets. Mr. Bai leaves no recyclables behind as he patrols the streets of Pingdong from dawn to dusk. He won't discriminate over the value of recyclables. As to him, making money and doing charity do not interfere with one another. 77-year-old Grandma Tsai is processing heavy glass bottles in front of her home. The grandma's hands are wrinkled and carry the marks left by 20 years of working to support her family. The senior now collects recyclables so she won't be a burden on her children. Though not everything she collects can be sold for money, she doesn't believe that they are necessarily useless.
Some of them can be sent over to Tzu Chi. If they still have some use, that's a good thing. If everything is simply discarded as trash, then we'll have a lot of trash.
And it is such belief that drives Grandma Tsai to carry out her work. Retired teacher Wu Jingzhu also shares the same sentiment. As Miss Wu goes about sorting her recyclables every day, she leaves the more valuable items for recyclers, which she believes do not interfere with Tzu Chi's recycling program.
Tzu Chi never told residents that you must bring all your recyclables to us. Never. So that's why those individuals who rely on selling recyclables to survive never complained about Tzu Chi.
According to the statistic tabulated by Pingdong City, the category of recyclables that Tzu Chi processed the most last year is glass. Including the hard-to-process plastic items, this makes up more than 50% of recyclables processed by Tzu Chi. Just like Mr. Bai and Grandma Tsai, Tzu Chi volunteers care for the planet. Working together using their hands, they cherish every usable resource on behalf of the environment and the future of Earth. Tzu Chi's assistance in the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan has inspired local residents to reciprocate by turning a once abandoned building into Tzu Chi's new recycling point. Now, volunteers and locals finally have a place to work on behalf of Mother Earth.
After this abandoned building is cleaned up, it shall serve a new purpose. It is to become the new Tzu Chi recycling point in Tacloban, the Philippines.
It's good that we have our own venue for recycling, and we can separate the recyclables here now. We can also have a place to gather our sorted recyclables.
If someone came to ask for medical assistance and they don't have the money to pay for it, this is how we can help them. That's why the plastic bottles are a big help to the Tzu Chi Foundation.
The resilient residents are slowly back on their feet after the devastation brought by Typhoon Haiyan, and the new recycling point is the proof of their resilience.
Next, we meet 30-year-old Lin Ziqi, who suffers from spinocerebellar atrophy. Last year, while touring around Taiwan, Lin came across Tzu Chi University and was deeply impressed by the school's faculty and students. Upon learning that Lin hopes to experience varsity life, the school decided to fulfill his dreams.
To welcome spinocerebellar atrophy sufferer Lin Ziqi, staff at Tzu Chi University make sure the washroom at the dormitory is well equipped.
I tried suicide 3 times in the past. Thankfully, with the love and support of my church members, I was able to get through those hard times.
In 2012, Lin was diagnosed with this rare disorder. At a press conference, Lin Ziqi shares with participants, including the faculty and students of Tzu Chi University, his experience as a spinal cerebellar atrophy sufferer.
I never had the chance to study in college. Seeing the beautiful campus and meeting the people here really made me want to experience how it feels to be a student here.
Despite having to use a walking aid, Lin Ziqi remains firm in his decision to go on a round the island tour. Furthermore, to help Lin Ziqi realize his dream, the Tzu Chi University thoughtfully organized a 7-day session on behalf of the young man. During his stay at the university, Lin showed great interest in the field of medical research.
I hope these researchers can discover the cause or come up with a cure to treat my illness. I'm extremely grateful for their hard work and dedication.
Sometimes I'll feel extremely tired or frustrated when the research didn't go well. However, seeing Tzu Chi's condition made me realize that I shouldn't give up. If Tzu Chi doesn't feel tired, I shouldn't either.
At the end of the 7-day session, the principal at the Tzu Chi University presents Tzu Chi with an honorary student certificate. The faculty and students at the school also prepare a cake to encourage the young man to face the days ahead with courage.
A cancer patient once lost his motivation to live until Tzu Chi volunteers walked into his life. Besides accompanying the man, volunteers also invited him to entertain the elderly at nursing homes.
Upon the arrival of the Tzu Chi volunteers, Mr. Zhao happily takes out his keyboard and starts playing. Mr. Zhao was a professional keyboard player when he was young. However, after battling with cancer for 10 years, he began to pull back from the world until Tzu Chi volunteers came into his life.
The Tzu Chi brothers and sisters often invited me out. When people reach out, they become more optimistic.
Mold once grew in his room because of leaks, and so the volunteers also helped repair his room.
He's much more cheerful now, and we are glad that he can help others now. We always ask him to play for us, and we all have a good time.
Now Mr. Zhao visits nursing homes with the volunteers to entertain the elderly with his music.
With the volunteer support, I got back on my feet again. Now I try my best to care for others. Although there is very little I can do, when I entertain people at the nursing home, I feel very good. He thinks he might one day move to a nursing home and would enjoy other people's companionship, so he is willing to accompany them now.
By stepping out of his isolation and bringing joy to the needy, Mr. Zhao is now playing a jubilant and cheerful tune in life.
We go to Malaysia at the end of today's program. Students of the Johor Bahru Tzu Chi Kindergarten recently visited a local children's home to donate books which they have canvassed. Students also made cards for the children of the home to express their gratitude for the opportunity to give. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.